Good morning, guys. It is very early. I'm trying to get out of here before the sun starts cooking me. But every once in a while, guys, I'll get an email from some company that wants to send me a product to show it on my channel. And honestly, 95% of those I decline. However, some of these products look unique enough and interesting enough that I actually want to try them out myself, see what they're like, and to show you guys. And this is one of those products. This is an inflatable, you saw the thumbnail, an inflatable truck shell. And actually, a few years ago, I was looking into this as an option instead of buying an actual fiberglass shell. I think that brand I was looking at was called Inflated. This one is a MilesRunner. That's the brand of this truck shell that we're going to be looking at today. It's a little bit different than the Inflated, but the price is a little bit less. I believe it's a couple $100 less than the Inflated truck shell. Guys, what comes with it, I've already got it out. It's pretty simple. You've got the front rail with the zipper and the weather stripping. You've got the back wall rail right here. Then you've got your two sidewall rails. They do have foam, if that's going to come through, to kind of weather seal along the rails of your actual truck bed. You got a pump, you've got clamps, and this in this bag is actually the shell. So there's not a whole lot to it. Oh, and it does come with some foam. I've already got that installed because of my tonneau cover. That's basically all that it comes with, and that's basically, hopefully, all that you're gonna need. So I'm gonna pull all this stuff into my garage where there's a little bit less sun and see how this thing works. Okay, so to start, guys, this is the topper itself. It comes in a bag. It doesn't weigh a whole lot. My guess is 35, 40 pounds, but you can, you know, move it around pretty easily. So I'm just gonna get it out of the bag, fold it out, and then we're gonna start airing up the front and the sides and the back to a certain PSI and then install the rails. We got it kind of unraveled, unboxed. Again, nothing too crazy, just a lot of packaging paper. First thing we got to do is inflate the top of the actual shell. That's going to give it its shape, and then we're going to do the sides and the front or the cab side of the shell. Now I envision, I don't know who would use these, why you would use them, but I kind of envision if you're camping, maybe tent camping, I don't know, you bring this along in case of bad weather, and then you have a little bit more protection to camp out of if it's really easy to set up. So that's what we're going to test out. So to do that, I got the pump over here, but I've just got my tiny little 300 watt Jackery. So I want to see if a power station like this can run this pump and get this whole system set up. I want to see the least amount of gear you would have to bring with you to actually use this. So what we got to do, this is the valve for the top. This whole thing's upside down. So this is the inflate valve for the top. We're gonna go ahead and get that unscrewed like that. This is the inflate valve for one of the sides. We can go ahead and get that unscrewed. Now I'm just gonna grab this pump, and it does have an inflate and a deflate portion. All right, get the DC cut on. You are supposed to inflate this top to 10 PSI. So let's get that set. I guess it helps if you connect this. So just twist in, pretty easy. All right, now let's try it. All right, so we got the top blown up, and if anyone's curious, he used 124 watts off of this Jackery to run this air pump. So this tiny little Jackery, if that's all you have with you, it'll work just fine. Now the sides you air up to only 1 PSI because you want these a little bit flexible when you're installing the actual rails on them. So we're not going to air them up fully just yet until we get the rails on. So here it is, fully inflated. The sidewalls were just temporarily to 1 PSI while we get these rails put on, but this is 10 PSI, and I'll tell you, 10 PSI, there's hardly any give. This is very, very sturdy. And of course, the top it's 10 psi also. So there you go. I don't know what to think about this yet, but it is somewhat blown up. So the next thing we got to do is to take this cab wall rail and slide it in to the back here. There's a piping on the shell itself that you're going to slide into that rail all the way down. So let's go ahead and get that done. So once you got this cab wall rail installed, take one of your long side rails and just place it on the top. And this end just kind of folds up and sticks in here, and I'll get it clamped in, and then I will give you a close-up of it. So you just fold it up and it just meets together right here. So I'm going to take this other one and do the same thing. Go. Okay, and the last piece of the puzzle for these three sides is there is a plastic flange here that you're going to fold up and stick into this rail right here. So you're going to start, I'm going to start here on the end and fold this up and just start pushing it down just like that. And basically go all the way down, but it's easier with two hands. And last but not least is the actual front rail. This has the zipper and whatnot on it for the bug shield and the actual window itself. So this is going to slide in just like the back did. It's going to clamp in. I need two hands. I need three hands, guys. So, all right, let's figure out how this goes. I'm assuming it probably goes with this weather little flap facing out. So we're just going to put these into this channel. There we go. I think that's set up. Let's get this thing flipped over and figure out how to get it put on my truck. But I am going to go ahead and air these up to 10 psi, both side walls, since you just temporarily do it to 1 psi once you're getting all this stuff installed. But overall, guys, it really wasn't that difficult. A little surprising. Well, it's a few days later, guys. It got too hot the first day, so I kind of took a few breaks. But we do finally have the shell completely aired up, 2 psi that it's supposed to be. And I'm going to see if I can get this on the truck by myself. I might have to commission my wife to help me get it on without damaging my truck, but it's light enough to where you can move it. This truck just sits up a little bit higher than most trucks, so it's a little bit more work to get it on there. But in case you guys couldn't see it in the garage, this isn't fully blown up. Of course, the back or the front, however you want to consider it, this is going to be sitting on the top of the tailgate. It does have 2 zippers. It's got just a window, and then behind that it's got a bug screen mesh. You've got some D-rings all along the corner that I guess you could tie stuff to. You can kind of make this like a luggage carrier. The directions say this supports 200 pounds. I don't know if I would put a full 200 pounds on it unless it was spread out corner to corner. I would not put 200 pounds right in the center, but I can tell you it's very sturdy, surprisingly, for an air up shell. It's kind of like paddleboard. I don't know if you guys have ever been on a paddleboard, but it's very, very rigid. And then in the back here, you do have a window. It does not zip, but D-rings, yada yada, D-rings, and then more D-rings over here on the side. So let's see if I don't kill myself trying to get this on the truck myself, because in the event you're using this and you need to do it by yourself, that might be beneficial, but I don't know if I can do it. So let's give it a shot. Okay, surprisingly not too bad. Huh. I'm actually fairly surprised I could get that on. You know what? I thought this would look a lot more silly. It really doesn't look too terrible. All right, let's head inside now. And you clamp this thing down just like you do any tonneau cover or basically any other shell. I'll show it to you. Let's go inside. It's gonna get real hot in here real quick without any fan going. But 14 millimeter socket. You're gonna take the supply clamps, loosen them up just a bit. And on the front, you can see it kind of, since the tailgates kind of taper in, you have to use an extension for the front to make sure you have enough clamping room. And to do that, you're gonna use these. Slide them toward the back and then get your clamp. And these are nothing new. These are like every other tonneau cover that I've ever had. Now on the front, you just use the standard clamps without that extension piece. I guess I should have read the directions first, but you actually have to kind of slide these in and push them forward before you clamp down the top end. So I'm just gonna push up, get that clamp in, and then slide it down to the end, and then redo this one. All right, so before I die in here without a fan this morning, it feels like a shell. What can I say? It's a lot lighter. It's easy to put on. I honestly don't like the clamps. I can't get these forward clamps up as far as I would like because I don't have enough room on that extension, so I had to pull them back just a little bit. I think it'll be fine. You can see back there in the corner, I do have an area where I can see daylight. Now, if this was gonna be more of a permanent mount, which is not what this thing is intended for, I would stuff some foam in there. And it's like that on that corner too. So I wouldn't say this thing is completely 100% waterproof. Now, my Lear shell was not 100% completely waterproof either, but I didn't have gaps quite that big. But I think that's something you just kind of have to deal with a product like this, is it's not gonna be 100% leak proof. So you do have a window or a bug screen that you can zip up on the sides and of course roll up, and there are little hooks up here, you know, that you can hold that bug screen up. Let me get that zip back down. And then of course you've got your main window. That you can open up. And of course you can tie it all up and hold it in place if you want. But for the sake of this, I'm just gonna keep it like it is, because I wanna get a little bit of water pressure on the sides, and then I'm gonna take it for a ride around the neighborhood just to see how it reacts, because I have really no idea. I'm not gonna put this thing on the highway. I don't wanna kill anyone because I don't have any experience with this, but I think I'll get it up to around 45 or 50 here in the neighborhood. See what it's like. Obviously, one of the first things I noticed is that it's only got one window. That's pretty self-apparent, but this back window does not open at all, so you can't really have any kind of cross ventilation going, which is a negative in my books. But overall, I mean, just the look of it, I don't think it looks terrible for an inflatable truck topper. You know, the flated ones, to me, when I was looking at actually purchasing one, looked like an inflatable shell. It looked like a raft. This, I don't know, it doesn't look too bad to me. But I don't know who this is for. I really have no idea who would need this. I don't know. You tell me who would need an inflatable truck shell topper. But I can tell you that this thing put together pretty easily, and it looks pretty good. I wish it had an extra window for more cross ventilation for air. And we do have a rubber gasket here underneath that does provide a pretty good seal on the back of the tailgate. And then I gotta zip this zipper up for the actual window before we head down the road, but that's simple enough. It's just a zipper. So let me get that done, and then I'm just gonna get a water hose, spray the side of it. I know it's gonna leak in the front corner because I can see daylight, but everything else, let's give that a shot. Let's open this thing up before it dries. See how much water got in. I'm expecting a little. I don't know, that's a pretty good seal back there on the top of the tailgate. Let's crawl in here. I actually don't see hardly any on that side. See a little bit. It's gonna be hard to get on camera. I see a little drop on this clamp, and then over here yeah, surprisingly I don't see anything that would cause an alarm. Now yeah, that wasn't a full giant rainstorm obviously, but there's no huge gaps other than up here in the corner right there and right there that obviously water would get into. If I had this on in a rainstorm, I would shove a sock or something up in those corners. Actually did a little bit better than I was thinking. Let me get a tape to measure, because I know I'm gonna get questions on how much headroom do you have from the top to the floor of the bed. So let me go grab a tape and let's figure out that measurement. From the floor up to the top, that's probably not gonna come through, but I'm looking at 42 inches. I forgot what it's like to be inside a shell. I don't really miss it, to be honest. Here's a better look at that pretty thick gasket that covers the top of the tailgate. And that just, it really does provide a pretty good seal. So, all right guys, that's the water test. I'm gonna go take this for a spin around my neighborhood after a few cups of coffee. I'm about to take this thing out on the road. I want to show you the setup. So I've got a GoPro in here, just clamped up to the mounting bracket that's hopefully gonna kind of depict how bouncy or shaky or whatever, how this does in the wind. And also I threw a thermometer in here about 30 minutes ago, and it's 10:20 in the morning, and it's 100 degrees inside this camper shell. So yeah, it gets warm. So if you were to use this in the summertime, you would definitely have to build some type of false tailgate, kind of like I did on my previous shell, because there's really no way to pipe in any type of air conditioning or heater hose, just the way that this is built with not having any windows on the side. So you would have to do some type of a false tailgate. But anyway, it's hot back here. I'm gonna get this GoPro turned on and we're gonna take it for a spin. Hopefully before that GoPro overheats back here. One thing, I can still see out the back because of that window. Safety first. All right, so like I was saying, I can see out the back because it does have a window, even though you can't unzip it against the cab side. But we're gonna get up to around 35, 40. I don't want to get a speeding ticket here. See how it reacts. like inside that until I look at the footage, but it, I mean, obviously it's staying on. So good. I made a couple of trips around my little area here. I got up to 42 miles per hour at one point, and depending on what the footage looks like inside the shell with the GoPro, I couldn't tell. I couldn't hear anything. Obviously, it didn't look like it was trying to fly off. My old Lear shell only used 4 of those very similar style C-clamps, so you know, I think those clamps are more than adequate to hold it down. Me being OCD, I probably would like 6 clamps, but again, my much heavier Lear shells only use 4, so I'm sure that's more than enough. But for me to take this out on the highway, I would be more comfortable if it came with an additional 2 clamps to use in the middle. But we're gonna pull in here to my neighborhood. I'm gonna get that GoPro out if it hasn't already overheated, and see what the footage looks like, and then yeah, we'll go from there. All right, let's see how it ended up doing. Put this stuff down. So yeah, I mean, it's not moving anywhere, obviously. I am still a little bit shocked of how sturdy this thing actually is. I know I've said that once, but if you guys have ever been on a paddleboard, this is exactly what this feels like. Didn't shift at all. I forgot, let me see if that GoPro overheated. Nope, still recording. I think we're gonna wrap up the video inside where it's nice and cool. Again, I have no idea who this would be for. It's a cool design. It's a little bit cheaper than the inflatable shell that I've seen. Couple of things that I've noticed. Yeah, again, I would like to have one more clamp to put on both sides right in the middle. So I would like to have two more clamps. I think that the 4's plenty. Again, my Lear shell only had 4. You might not like that it doesn't have windows. I get that, but I like the smoothness of it not having windows. I do think it would be better if they made this back window be able to zip, and maybe put like a bug screen. That way you could get cross flow air going through here in these really hot summer temps. But as it stands now, you cannot take this window out. It's just a see-through window only. So I think future modifications or future versions of this shell, they should make that with a zipper or a bug screen or both. That would be perfect. But you know, you got your weather stripping all along the corners. I can still see daylight, but that's easily fixable, and it's about the same size as the normal shell. I mean, without the bump up shell like I used to have, but the standard shell series, it's the same size. So it's a cool design. It's a cool idea. I guess if you need a shell certain times and then you don't want to drive around with the shell, you can suck all the air out of this thing and stick it in the bag and throw up in your attic and bring it down and inflate it and have a shell. I think that's what the benefit of this thing is. So it's just a fun little product. I kind of wanted to get it here and to try it to see what it was like. And I'm not going to be using this on my channel, obviously, because of my camper and all that stuff. But I can see where this could have a use for some people. But anyway, guys, that's it for this MilesRunner inflatable truck shell. Pretty cool, pretty neat little design, but it's hot in here, and we have creeped up to 101 degrees. So welcome to Texas. But I'm gonna get my GoPro down, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.